Hello, welcome to another casualty gaming cast, or whatever you want to call these things, where I go over a replay, and it's probably really boring, but it helps me, and hopefully will help some people who have the patience to watch this to... I don't think anyone even does, but like... It still helps me regardless. It's going to be a mech game against this GM Terran I played, and he does weird builds. Well, last game he did a weird build. They did a weird build. I don't know about this game, but... It's just the standard Reaper opening. I mean, I don't think they got any drone kills, but I did lose a couple bit of minerals. Oops, no drone kills. Some link kills, but I lost some minerals due to making those spore cancels. You know, like, it's obviously optimal to make an extractor, but if your drone's not going to get there, then too bad. But as you can see, the units lost tab, it's actually relatively even. As I got a Reaper, I mean, I technically have less, but, you know, those drones making spores and canceling, they do have to stop mining, so it's not like a win-win. So, I don't know what's going on, because this CC was really late, just because they made it on the high ground, and I scouted, and I go like, okay, actually, this is pretty standard now. But what I didn't see was the massive amount of Hellions, and that's completely my fault. I should have definitely went in to see it, and I was like, there's no reactor Hellions. Are they proxying a Banshee or something? So, what I do is just make a roach one anyways, just because, whatever. And decide to go for a big, early to mid-game attack. I wouldn't say it an all-in. I would call it cheese, but I wouldn't call it all-in. As I do expand behind it, and I do play for the macro game, I just do a big attack. And actually, I didn't see that they had triple, things. I didn't see that they researched Blue Flame because they hadn't yet, and but nonetheless they still have a giant Hellion attack, and it actually works out really good for them initially. But then I don't know. I think it worked out for both players to the point where it got relatively even. As you can see, the game timer, it still goes really far. But as they only have 2 factories producing units, and they're still making Hellions, so my attack should be pretty well executed. I mean, even if it's poorly executed, it should do quite a bit of damage, that is. Unless these Hellions and things just come straight into my base, and they do a run-by, because I didn't do the Evo Chambered walls, because I was doing a big attack and not worrying about whatever. As you can see, I do have a couple lings that stream in and whittle this force down over time. And as you can see, there's also a counterattack going in here. The workers killed tab is actually pretty heavily in favor of them, but as you can see, my money's climbing really high, so I finally clean up all this stuff as they're microing things in their base instead. So you see, workers killed is relatively even. The income is in favor of them, just because I haven't made too many drones yet, but I'm gonna reproduce those drones. These queens really need to get back to injecting. The previous game, which I faced this player, I lost to them because they did some weird shenanigan builds, and it worked out really well because my queens were always defending, like banshees and stuff. They didn't actually have... they were floating a bit of energy because they couldn't go back to the hatcheries and inject, just because I was a bit weirded out by the whole experience. They chopped 3 meals just because Terran's good. So I mean, the longevity of this main base is going to go down really quickly, just because it decreased really quickly, just because they're muling it such heavily. And now they can retake their natural. They don't know if I'm going to keep attacking or not, but as you can see, my 3rd base is already done, and I'm in a somewhat okay position. I make 2 Evo Chambers just so they don't go against me again. And I see that they have Banshees, and here's the triple meals again. I mean, technically they're supply block, but that's a really long supply block, so whatever. Pretty bad for them. But as you can see, they're almost doubling my mineral income count, just because meals, 4 meals at a time is pretty insane. And I do have 12 workers over them, but that's just the nature of this matchup. And I do have a Spore, and I do have an Idris Spore, one that just proxies towards the outside of my base to cover the transitioning of my things. This Banshee was cutting it really close. But I guess they microed it okay. I don't think it's worth it to get your Banshee down to this low and then send it back to repair, just because you still can't pick up drones if you don't get hit by the spawn just by the queen. I think you can get a couple more drone kills, but I guess they didn't want to have any of that. So it looks like they go for the Viking to kill the overlords. I have a habit of putting my overlords out into the map. I don't know if it's a good habit, because they always kill them. Well, not always. Like in this matchup, in this game, and the previous game I played this player, they did that. But it's also, I think it's also just with a good intent of scouting the entire map. Maybe I would do that when I have overlord speed, but as you can still see, I have quite a few overlords in my base. And as is, I want to see what my APM is. It's relatively the same as the other player. They're actually really low on SCVs. I didn't know that they were this low. I thought they were continuing to produce SCVs off 3 orbitals. But I think it's just because their supply blocks were so heavy that it didn't work out that way. So I'm actually supposed to be, if I knew what to do, which was knowing that they were such on low economy, that they have so few units, I would have done a big meter transition. I did transition to meters, but I only made 10 initially, just because I thought that they would have turrets at the third already. I don't think I have vision of this third, but I can pretty much guess that this is going to float over here as opposed to float over here, and even then I have an overlord here. And even if I had an overlord here to scout this, which I did, but it died to the Viking, I can pretty much guess that this is going to be untouchable for the time being until my meters come, just because they can defend it with a bunch of Hellbats, or just any sort of little units can repel small groups of roaches and lings and banelings. So I don't think it's really worth it to counterattack, so I think that was okay. So I do send my meters. I don't think these were in the... No, they were. And I wanted to kill this Viking first, just so it doesn't kill any more overlords. And I go in here to harass, and I find out that, okay, they only have 1 Thor. So I'm just going to go kill that Thor. And they realize this, and they try to repair the Thor, and they have a Raven, I see, as well. So they're actually really diverse in their composition. So I don't know if I should have actually just kept making mutas. I think I should have, but they can make 2 Thors out at a time, so it might not be the best idea. So what I thought was a good idea was like, okay, let's go mass roaches, because there's all this diverse units like Banshees, Ravens, Thors. They're probably going to be making reactionary Thors, so that's a lot of gas. Chances are they're not going to have a lot of money for tanks. So, I mean, Thors are decent against roaches, and Hellbats are not that great against mass number of roaches, but and Banshees and Ravens, you can see that roaches aren't good at all. So I decided to sacrifice all the Mutalisks, just because, I don't know, I think I should have kept them alive, actually. I tried to dive as many mules as I could. I mean, I did almost double their workers killed tab. But I think, yeah, I think if I didn't sacrifice those 10 mutas and just left, I think the resources lost tab would have heavily, whatever. So I made 12 warlords here. I didn't even know I was making 12. I didn't consider getting drop at all, just because they didn't have any tanks. So what the idea was just to go in with roaches, but I was so heavily supply blocked. I think I could have been at least 160 to 180 supply of roaches. They only have 2 tanks right now. And I decided to attack anyways. These roaches were on attack command, so they didn't actually go all the way in, and the Hellbats got pretty good concaves. And seeing the Hunter Seeker missile, I tried to micro, but it was already too late. And as you can see, the resources lost tab is actually favoring them, so this was actually a pretty terrible engagement. I think the better strategy was just to make a bunch of roaches, have some counterattacking here, just out of tank range, some attacking here, just out of tank range. And even if it's just 1 tank on the high ground or 1 tank at their natural, it's fine, just because I knew that their tank count was so low. I mean, like, they only have 3 tanks right now, so... Oh, 7 tanks, but I guess they just made them, right? Yeah, they just made the majority of the 4 of them. So they only had 3 tanks. Definitely could have handled that a lot better. So as you can see, I do start to drone again. I take this base, try to get the gas, as I know that it's going for the late game, therefore I go Hive. Hive could have been a bit earlier, but I was occupied with the other stuff, although it was no excuse not to get it, just because I did screw up that attack quite a bit, just through the macro side of things and other things as well. I think the decision to not wait until the overloads came out and make another round of roaches was good, just because they would have a lot more tanks, and I couldn't necessarily have that sort of risk. I'd rather take a crappy engagement than take a really crappy engagement later on, so I think this was okay. I was mining off a lot of geysers at this point, like 1,200 gas, I think 5 bases worth of gas, and I break down these rocks to get this base. And here's where I was like a little bit worried. I was like, okay, I'm making Broodlords, and they're going to attack me now, but I think I should have enough. They don't actually have that many Vikings. So this is that point where the Terran Mech army pushes, but I have the correct composition to counter this off. And they have to turn tail and run just because they weren't ready for this transition. A road counterattack came in, and another road counterattack killed actually an orbital, so that was really good. I definitely could have microed this better, sent some roaches here, be some symbols, you know. And the Thors, Transformers, robots in disguise, and they just start attacking everything. And I think I'd still have the better engagement just because I have a couple more Corruptors, but they are streaming Vikings in slowly but steadily. So they are actually able to kill the Broodlords off just because I don't have enough DPS to kill everything down immediately. So I decided to back up, and I think that killing all the Vikings and having only a couple Thors remaining from their huge Thor count, I should stay on Broodlord Corruptor and not have to transition to anything because they do have quite a few tanks. And Hellbats are always being produced just because the nature of Mech is just so mineral heavy. So I definitely think that I should stay on that. I don't need to transition to Ultras just because they're bad against Thors and tanks, or transition to any sort of inferior ground army. They're going to keep producing Vikings anyways. Even a couple Vikings can repel Vipers really easily, so I don't think that's good. But however, I do end up getting Pathogen Glands somewhere. Yeah, I do get it just because Broodlord Infestor is really good with Corruptor Broodlord is really good against Mech with Infestors because you can fungal the air units to lock them in place so the Vikings don't kite your Corruptors all day, every day. And I'm mining a lot of gas here. That's 6 bases worth of gas, and I'm taking another base here. And I still am floating so many minerals, so I do a really good decision here of making some Spore Crawlers, just because it's more like Zerg versus Protoss, where they have a giant air army and you are maxed out, and you're really high on minerals, but you just need to get some more spores out. I decided to make Queens also, but they were really late, so I definitely should have made them earlier, just because they do the exact same thing that spores do. They can transfuse and stuff. So they have a lot of Vikings now, but I do have a lot of Corruptors, and I have a lot of Broodlords as well, and it's really important for me that I have more Corruptors than may be necessary, just because as soon as you're out of Corruptors, your Broodlords will just die slowly to Vikings, and it's like the worst feeling in the world, and Broodlords are so expensive. So as you can see, the units lost tab is actually really even here, and a Hunter Seeker Missile, you can't really micro Broodlords that great, so I did the best I can. This Spore is actually doing quite a bit of work, and I mean, these Broodlords are getting shelled away by these Thors, but that's just how it is. I mean, I do clean up all the Vikings, so there are only a couple Thors left, and there are a couple tanks left, so this engagement was actually pretty scary for me, but it was also pretty scary for them. I do a giant Ling run by, I kill a lot of SCVs at this base, a lot actually, and I do a bit of counterattack, and these Lings are 2-2 with Adrenal Glands, as I didn't start to get 3-3 yet. They're 2-2 upgrades, and I start to morph Broodlords again, just because I need to, and it's getting a little bit base racy, but it's not. I don't think this game's over. I was pretty scared at this point, just because I could have handled that engagement better. I think if I fungled the Vikings and got rid of them with just the Corruptors and not let my Broodlords get under fire, it's okay if I lose all my Corruptors and lose all my and if they lose all their Vikings, if it's just Broodlords against Thors, it's a pretty good situation. Just because I'd rather lose Corruptors than Broodlords, just because Corruptors don't do shit against Thors. And as you can see, the resources lost have is actually pretty in favor of them, just because that engagement was pretty good for them. They repaired a lot on those Thors, and now it's fully healed again. I'm sending little bits of Lings, but I mean, tanks, mass Ling against Thors and siege tanks, like, you would think that'd be okay for the Zerg player, but it's just so that I have so few Lings. They're just really to buffer some damage. And maybe if I get some more shots off with the Broodlords, it's definitely good. And even if they do repair, I mean, it's still okay for me just because they use money to repair, and this Thor gets killed. And I mean, every little bit counts. And these Lings are just doing lots of damage, and they killed a bunch of add-ons too. I think I broke some and did some cool stuff. And this base is actually under fire. And you have to keep in mind, I am mining from a lot of gas. Still, all the gas except these two. But this one's actually almost mined out. And I do lose this base, but I do have another base here. As soon as they leave, I can transfer these drones there. If they don't decide to scan and kill them, which I don't think they will, because I don't think these drones are worth getting chased down by Broodlords. Broodlings! And I do double upgrade on my Spire. I actually neglected it quite a bit. Although I did upgrade to 2 to 1, which is a little mistake. Just because I'm in the heat of things. And I know that they're on only 3 bases. Their main has to be mined out. I scouted it for myself. I saw that their natural is actually... Well, I ran Lings through here, so I guess I didn't see it. So they must be pretty low on their natural as well. And their third looks really, really low from what I can see. So attacking upon this ridge where Thors can't exactly have the best position, or just anything on the best position, you would think that... it'd be okay for me, and I do have a lot of Corruptors, so they can't engage the Vikings if they so choose, which I do here, and I kill a Viking off. As you can see there, they don't know what's going on. And I have a lot of resources. I have enough resources to morph all these into Broodlords, I think, or the majority of them. But obviously that's sort of a dumb choice, just because they do have a couple of Vikings left. So what I decide to do is keep getting my air upgrades and try to get the infestors this time, just because they don't have that many hellbats. They're low on minerals, and I know this isn't just because Mech should always have excess minerals. It's just they don't have enough bases to do it regardless. I don't really want them to get this base. If they get this base, they will continue this game, and I really don't want them to turtle. So what happens is I end up morphing 7 more Broodlords, and I can go fewer on the Corruptors now that I know that they don't have that many Vikings. And I also make a bunch of infestors, I believe. As they try to attack this base, they know that I can't get out of control with this base, but it's sort of a futile engagement. As I do engage here, I do finally start making additional queens. I'm making infestors. And I'm killing off all the Vikings, but once again, the Broodlords are taking a lot of damage. I mean, these Thors have a lot of kills. They might be Broodlings or whatever, but they are target firing, and these have a huge range, 10 range for 30 damage each shot, and I'm just trying to transfuse as best as I can. I don't think I do a great job though. I mean, that one had 1 transfuse left, and I have to back up here. And I don't think that... I think at this point where all their Vikings are gone, I can add on some Vipers to Blinding Cloud. But I haven't quite thought about it that much yet, and I keep making more Broodlords. I think if I went Roaches, it would be the wrong choice, just because Thors are still good. But I still try to get some splash damage off on these tanks. And the majority of their tank count is gone now. They have to long distance mine just because my creep spread is fucking amazing. This base is gone, but I definitely should have remade this base a long time ago, just so when I transfer to mine it again, it could be definitely like instant. Not really losing a base. And then I send all the Lings here. They're 2-2 still. I haven't remade those Evo Chambers. And spraying Infested Terrans and getting the Fungal off just finishes off the game. And there you go. That's GG. I think that was a good game. And thanks for watching if you have watched. And thanks for me for learning shit. I don't know. Okay, thanks. Bye.